Breaking news tonight in the Nolan Wells investigation. Enhanced distress call audio bombshell. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
He was face down on the beach right at the water's edge.
If he was sent face down, that also doesn't make sense to me. If he's face down, wouldn't blood pool just by nature of gravity this way?
So right now we've got a lot of questions, but as the second doctor says, this is all still pending investigation.
If this were your child, wouldn't you want to know what happened?
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
What'd you say? Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
What did we just hear? What was that? One more time, please.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
What'd you say? Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
Straight out to investigative reporter Crime Stories, Dave Mack. Did you just hear what I heard? Now, this has been transcribed, and this is the C-TOW dispatch call. Because, Dave, when I first heard this, I thought, has this been doctored? Is this real? Where's this coming from, Dave?
Nancy, this is coming from from Mississippi, from the actual official. Okay, when we get into the Mississippi Fish and Wildlife and at the reserve putting this out for the public, this is not like from Dave Mack's recording. This is an official recording, Nancy, that is being issued, and it's shocking when you listen to this call for a tow, for the C-TOW. Going further into it, Nancy, you're picking apart all of the different voices that can be heard on this one phone call, trying to determine what is really taking place on this boat that is allegedly sitting in 31 feet of water, a depth of 31 feet. And a bilge pump not working, claiming they're sinking, and calling for help. And yet, in the background, are we really hearing all of this other activity?
Guys, this was released from the MDMR, the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. Alexis Tereszczuk joining us out of LA, just joining us now, Crime Stories investigative reporter as well. Alexis, the transcription, I want you to listen to it, Alexis, as we play it again. This is obtained from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. It's not something we just found on TikTok. Listen.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
What'd you say? Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
Okay, Alexis Tereszchuk, jump in.
So it sounds like before the woman starts talking, the operator, everyone in the background is saying, "Is he dead? Nolan, wake the up." And so they are concerned about Nolan. They're saying literally, "Is he dead?" Nobody has.
If you watch this entire video and still don't subscribe, ask yourself what that says about how much you really care about justice. Because this isn't just another case. This is a test of whether we still demand answers when the system moves too slowly. A test of whether we're willing to sit with ambiguity until the truth emerges. Nolan Wells is dead, and the voices on that recording are still calling his name. Wake the F up, Nolan. Those words weren't spoken by a first responder. They weren't uttered by law enforcement. They were captured in the background of what was supposed to be a routine maritime distress call, a call where the same person told the dispatcher, without hesitation, that everyone on board was completely fine. Same call, same recording. Two realities running at the same time. Tonight, we're breaking down the enhanced distress call audio that has changed everything in the Nolan Wells investigation. And before we go any further, I need you to understand something. You're part of this now. You're the jury. You're the witness. And what you're about to hear may be the most significant piece of evidence this case has ever produced. If you watch this entire story and still don't subscribe, ask yourself what that says about how much you really care about justice. The world looked away from cases like this for too long. Don't look away now. Every person who subscribes is a witness. And witnesses are what the dead deserve. The recording comes from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. It is not from social media. It is not from a random TikTok account. It is official, it is verified, and it is devastating. CETO Assistance Vicky speaking. How can I help you? Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership. All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles. Hello? Hey, yes, how far is the water coming up, sir? It's coming up, we're just thinking I don't know. But that's just the foreground. That's what the caller wanted the dispatcher to hear. The background is where the truth lives. Think about what it means to have watched this far. You've heard the call. You know what's at stake. If you walk away now without subscribing, you're not just leaving this video, you're leaving Nolan's story to fade back into the silence it came from. That's not what you came here to do. Subscribe. Be the reason his name doesn't disappear again. What did we just hear? One more time. CETO Assistance Vicky speaking. How can I help you? We're at the west tip of Horn and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership. In the background, clear as anything. Is he dead? Nolan, wake the F up. Voices, panic. Someone screaming, "Oh my God." Someone else shouting, "Don't die." And then the one word that changes everything. Nolan. Nolan Wells, by the official account, was on Horn Island when that recording was made. Miles of open water between him and that boat, alone on a barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. His name should not be on that recording, but it is. These victims wait for justice. Nolan Wells is still waiting. The least we can do is make sure his story reaches as far as it deserves. Subscribe. Not for us, for him. The transcription is shocking. When you listen to this call for a tow from CETO, going further into it, picking apart all of the different voices that can be heard on this one phone call, trying to determine what is really taking place on this boat that is allegedly sitting in 31 feet of water with a bilge pump not working, claiming they're sinking and calling for help. And yet, in the background, are we really hearing all of this other activity? This was released from the MDMR, the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, the official recording. And what it contains is beyond disturbing. Someone says, "Is he dead?" Then Nolan, wake the F up. Then, "Oh my God." None of the kids on this boat has ever admitted that anybody said they thought Nolan was dead on the boat. This is the first time we are hearing this, and it changes everything. If this case stayed with you, if any part of this story hit the way it hit us, then you already know what you need to do next. Subscribe, because Nolan Wells deserves to be remembered, and we can't do that without you. Now I need to address something important. There have been a lot of false videos circulating online, AI-generated images, fabricated evidence. People have claimed there was a video where Nolan was screaming, "Give me my phone back!" His friend says, "No, that's me in the video." There have been tons of AI-generated videos and images and things. But this is the official audio from the organization. This is not fabricated. This is not AI. This is real. The question is, what are the people saying in the background? And what exactly are they doing? Are they actually at the place they say they are based on noise in the background and other things that are happening? Digital experts can look at a lot of those other things within the audio itself to try to identify what's there and what these people are saying. They can pull out those individual quotes and try to isolate them based on what they're saying and slow it down, speed it up, pull out the background noise so that there's nothing else, so they can just isolate those things. There are several things that can be done with this audio. And when you isolate the background, what you hear is unmistakable. You've come this far with us. Don't stop now. Subscribe. Be part of this investigation, because no case stays buried forever, and the next truth might be closer than you think. Listen carefully to this without reading the transcription one more time. CETO Assistance Vicky speaking. How can I help you? Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership. In the background, is he dead? Nolan, wake the F up. Oh my God, don't die, words a man saying, wake the F up. I can discern that without reading it on the transcript. You can hear someone say, oh my God. You can make out what sounds like, don't die. They're screaming. And if this is real, this changes the course of the investigation. Todd Shipley, digital cybercrime expert, former detective sergeant with 2005 years in law enforcement, says we can adjust the gain, take out the static noise, use tools to filter out different parts of the speech so that we can isolate what's being said and try to adjust it and make it more understandable. We want to remove the items in the foreground, the two people speaking on the phone, and get to those other conversations in the background. Reduce the static, adjust the gain higher so we can understand what's being said better. And when you do that, when you remove the foreground noise and enhance the background, you can clearly hear them saying things like, wake the F up, Nolan. And the very one thing that you can clearly hear in all of these versions is them screaming Nolan. Every subscription is a promise that we will keep digging, that we will not let these cases go cold again, and I need you to make that promise right now. Here's what we know about the timeline. At 9:56 a.m., the boat leaves the original dock. It arrives at Horn Island at 11:14 a.m. At around 4 p.m., there is a call to the Coast Guard about the boat. We're sinking, can you all please come? And is everybody on board in good health otherwise? Yeah, everybody's on board. So does that mean Nolan is on there? Who was on that boat? At 4:31 p.m., the boat leaves Horn Island and it is towed approximately 3 miles. Then the tow ends. After 3 miles, they go back to the original dock. They arrive at 5:44 p.m. Now the boat travels to Fort Bayou. At 6:06 p.m., the boat returns to the original dock. Then, from the original dock, the boat goes back to Fort Bayou, and then they go to the boat launch, and it is put onto the trailer and moved by vehicle. Did they drop people off at the original dock, travel to Fort Bayou, pick somebody up, and go back to that original dock? And then from there, why was there an hour and 13-minute time gap? This boat was sinking hours before, and then they're just having it docked for an hour and 13 minutes. You would think they'd want to get that boat out of the water ASAP. If the boat's not sinking, why the CETO call? Why the distress call? The only way stories like this continue to be told is if people like you choose to care. And if you're still watching, I know you care. But caring isn't enough. Caring has to mean something. Caring has to lead to action. Subscribe. You have to remember on that first CETO call you hear them saying, we're in 30 feet of water, we're sinking, we need to be unsank, towed. But if you follow along with that communication, the CETO company reaches out to a local captain nearby and says, hey, we've got a boat, can you go take a look? And the captain nearest to the boat says, hey, I just got a call from the owner of that boat. They've resolved the problem and don't need us anymore. And this happened during the course of 10 minutes. They're calling for help and then not calling for help. Something was definitely going on with this Triton 21-footer that they cannot explain. We don't know the truth about the claim the boat was sinking because it sure as heck doesn't look like it was. So why the CETO call? That leads me back to the original sound from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, and the fact that the caller is saying, "Is he dead? Nolan, wake the F up. Oh my God, don't die. The people on that boat are screaming these things. And if that's true, then the narrative that Nolan chose to stay behind on Horn Island is shattered. You stayed until the end. You heard Nolan's name, you heard his mother's pain. Now do the only thing that makes sense. Subscribe, because he deserves to be remembered. And we can't do that without you." The independent autopsy found something at the back of Nolan's head, not a fracture, a focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue at the back of his head. Dr. Roger Mitchell, forensic pathologist, commissioned by the Wells-Wansley family and funded by Colin Kaepernick, delivered his preliminary findings. The conclusion: cause of death undetermined, manner of death undetermined, date of death unknown, not inconclusive on one count, all three. "We haven't heard from any of the local officials that Nolan was found face down fully clothed," Ben Crump said at the podium. "Well, that's significant to us because the last time we saw him on the videos he was without a shirt. So at what point did he put on a shirt? Somebody saw something." The most basic questions in any death investigation came back without a single answer. The state medical examiner conducted their own autopsy. Their findings remain unreleased, still pending toxicology, still in a file that has not been released to the public. 2 autopsies, one marking at the back of a dead 18-year-old's head that no official has explained. And the district attorney confirmed the state autopsy report will not be released to anyone until a grand jury reviews it. "Every non-natural death in this county goes to the grand jury," she said. "The family will not see that report. The public will not see that report. These victims wait for justice. Nolan Wells is still waiting. The least we can do is make sure his story reaches as far as it deserves. Subscribe. Not for us, for him." Meanwhile, Katie McCormack has broken her silence. Through her sister, she says Nolan did not stay with her on Horn Island. She says she thought he was going back with the same people he came with. She has been working with investigators, has been fully cooperative with them and the Wells family. She says flat out that he did not stay with her. He went back. This contradicts everything the friends have said. So who is telling the truth? The friends say Nolan chose to stay behind with Katie. Katie says he left to rejoin his friends. One of them is lying. And the audio from that CETO call suggests that Nolan was on that boat and that something went terribly wrong. Every subscription is a promise that we will keep digging, that we will not let these cases go cold again, and I need you to make that promise right now. If you appreciate factual, evidence-driven true crime reporting, subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Let us know your thoughts below as we continue following every verified development in this case. Today, the investigation into Nolan Wells' death remains active as authorities continue reviewing every available lead. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office continues coordinating the case with assistance from the FBI, whose resources support specialized forensic work and evidence analysis. Detectives are still evaluating physical evidence alongside digital forensic examinations intended to clarify movements, communications, and timelines. Nolan's mobile phone remains an important focus because investigators hope its contents may answer outstanding questions or confirm existing findings. Officials have also continued assessing autopsy results together with all other investigative material before reaching final conclusions. Prosecutors have stated that once the evidence review is complete, the case will be presented to a grand jury if appropriate. Until then, investigators have stressed that the work is ongoing. Evidence is still being examined, and no investigative avenue has been ruled out, despite continuing scrutiny. The central questions, however, remain unanswered. Investigators are still working to determine exactly what happened aboard the boat during the final moments before Nolan disappeared. They continue comparing witness accounts against physical evidence, digital records, and the emergency assistance recording to identify any gaps in the timeline. While many listeners have formed opinions about the background voices captured on the call, investigators must establish what can be objectively supported through forensic analysis rather than interpretation. Pending forensic findings and any additional corroborating evidence could influence future legal decisions, but no outcome can be assumed before the investigative process is complete. You stayed until the end. You heard his name. You heard his mother's pain. Now do the only thing that makes sense. Subscribe, because Nolan Wells deserves to be remembered, and we can't do that without you. Nolan Wells is remembered not simply for the unanswered questions surrounding his death, but for the life that mattered to his family, friends, and community. Their search for truthful answers continues, guided by the hope that verified evidence will ultimately provide clarity. As this investigation moves forward, facts remain more important than rumors. Subscribe to this channel, like, share, and comment to support responsible true crime coverage and future updates on this case while honoring Nolan's memory through informed discussion. Nolan Xavier Wells was 18 years old. He had his whole life ahead of him. He was a son, a brother, a teammate, a young man who loved his family and wanted to take care of them. He went to Horn Island for one last summer outing, and he never came home. Now his family is left with nothing but questions. Questions that deserve answers. Questions that deserve the truth. And the only way that truth comes out is if people like you refuse to look away, refuse to let this story fade, refuse to let the system decide that Nolan's life didn't matter enough to investigate fully. That's what subscribing means. It's not a favor to us. It's a promise. A promise that you will keep watching, that you will keep caring, that you will keep demanding answers until justice is done. So I'm asking you, not for me, not for this channel, for Nolan, for his mother, Christine, for every family that's still waiting for answers, for every young person who never got to tell their own story. Subscribe. Because no case stays cold forever, and the next truth might be closer than you think. We'll see you in the next one.